Hello, everybody. This is Nikki from Motherhood Unfiltered. It's going to be okay. And today I have Misa Pignataro. I hope I pronounced her name right. She's shaking her hair yet, or her hair. She's shaking her hair. She's shaking her head. Yes. She is a certified health coach and educator with a master's degree in early childhood education. She's a mom of two girls and a wife, and her mission is to help shape. Um, I can't see all my notes here. Where did we go? Oh, to help shape children's taste one bite at a time. So I'm excited to have her on today because as parents, we all know that kids either are picky eaters or they can't eat or just out of pure rebelliousness they don't eat. So but before we get into that conversation, I just want to remind everybody to if you're listening on the podcast, to go to Apple Podcast and rate and review. And if you're watching the video, then I would encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. And right now, I have a free survey, and it's called, how deep in the funk are you? So if you're confused about how sucky your life is, then you need to take this quiz because it will tell you. And but it's free. And if you go to my website, www.nikkiasherbowling.com, you can request it there, or you can comment on the podcast or the video, and I will send it to you. However you want to do it, it's fine with me. So without further ado, let's bring Misa on and find out how we can get these little critters to eat their food. Hi, Misa. So, Misa, tell us about. So, I mean, you have a master's degree in early childhood education. So, you obviously was drawn to kids before you became a mother. So, so tell us about that journey, and then how in the world you came to start teaching cooking classes for kids.
Yes. So I taught first grade for 10 years. And then when I was pregnant, I decided I wanted to stay home with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been home for 10 years. So it's crazy to think I've taught for as long as I've been home, but time flies by.
Right.
And my second daughter, Haley, my daughters are 10 and 8. So my second daughter was diagnosed with failure to thrive at 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
1.5 years old, and she didn't start eating solid foods till she was 2, and she had a constant runny nose, and I was always bringing her to the doctors, and the doctor at the time wanted us to get her tonsils and adenoids removed.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully my mom said, let's go check out this naturopathic doctor, which I was not familiar with naturopath or functional medicine at the time. This
right.
was ago. So we went, and the naturopath ran a bunch of food sensitivity tests, and we found out that she was allergic to everything that I was eating, and I was nursing. So everything I was eating, she was getting and causing her the constant runny nose, and she didn't want to eat anything because she didn't feel well.
Right.
So she was allergic to gluten and soy and dairy and sugar and corn and every ingredient that you would find in any packaged food at the grocery store. So I had to learn how to cook because I couldn't get anything at the grocery store. So I taught myself how to cook.
So you didn't know how to cook, like with, I mean, only if you're like me, you just go buy, prepackaged food.
Yeah, it was very
okay.
And I didn't think like I was eating gluten at the time. I was eating dairy at the time, and baking and cooking with gluten-free is a whole new game.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found Danielle Walker, Against All Grain. She was the first blogger that introduced me to the world of like paleo
Oh,
kind of foods, and she helped me to realize that food can taste good and be healthy. And
yeah.
I just got really interested in cooking, and I didn't want my kids to feel deprived of not being able to have a bagel or pizza, or so I learned how to make a bagel and pizza and muffins and all the things that I grew up with as a kid, because I
Right.
wanted to have that. And I just got really interested in that. And we were able to heal my daughter. She's thriving now, thankfully, through
Hmm.
food, and we avoided the surgery. And
Right.
so I got my health coach certification just because I became really passionate about health and food and kids. And so I
Yeah.
combined everything, and I started Misa's Clean Kitchen. And I started just doing kids cooking classes, and then parents asked me if I could do adult classes, so I just started doing that. And I'm working on an online course, Raising Healthy Eaters, just to help parents shape kids' taste from the start. There's never
Right.
too late to adopt these new habits, but the younger they are, the easier it is on the
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah.
I just hate that you had to experience that with your daughter. And I but I'm also a little alarmed, or maybe not surprised, that the doctor just said, "Well, she's just failure to thrive." Instead of, I mean, when I hear that, my first thought is there is a root cause for this, and I just think that just because the child is 2, that some of these things people assume or think are just developed, instead of just, well, she was born with these allergies, right?
Right.
So but I just love that I mean, like, you're the mama bear and you're on a mission to make sure that your child's going to get some healthy food,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And the other part of that is all the foods that we normally eat are so dangerous, because of all the chemicals that are in it, and they're hardly have any nutrition in 'em because of all the processes that they put them through. So I'm really excited to hear more about this. So what was your very first? So did you do your cooking testing with your girls first, and how did that go? If you,
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I grew up in a very health conscious home. So, and
Mhm.
I had my mom kind of like giving me little, tidbits of advice
Yeah,
as soon as my kids were born, which,
yeah, I know moms. I have one.
I appreciate now. I didn't so much appreciate it at the time, but I appreciate now.
Well, of
So
course.
I started my kids off on like a whole foods journey at the very start. So we
Yeah,
never had to like shift from, goldfish and
yeah,
granola bars. So we started off very whole foods from the beginning. So my kids have a
right.
wide palette, which I am very thankful for.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I
I
would be
have to
too.
say my youngest is more picky than my oldest, because she didn't start eating until she was 2. So there's a big window of opportunity from like 6 months to 18 months to try all these different varieties of flavors. And we missed that whole window. So it was
Yeah,
much harder with my second, but
right.
hopefully both my girls are very, very good eaters now.
So what would be the first thing you would suggest? So, like, if your kids are older, what would be your first bit of advice if someone is wanting to, introduce a more healthy way of eating?
Yeah, I would say get them in the kitchen cooking with you. It's amazing to see. I teach virtual cooking classes as well as in
Mhm.
person. And it's amazing to see how willing these kids are to try new foods that they've never tried before, and how surprised these parents are that they're gobbling down food. I mean, the recipes that we make together are not traditional recipes. We make spinach muffins, we make beet pancakes, we make chickpea cookies. I mean, these are not standard traditional baked goods kids are used to, but they gobble it down. And it's just an amazing way to expose kids to different foods.
Right.
For example, if kids don't like spinach now, maybe they'll like it in a muffin. Maybe they'll like it in a pancake.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll like it in a smoothie. There's so many different ways to try just one food like spinach. So just
right
putting them in the kitchen and exposing them to so many different kinds of ways to cook.
So do you think getting them in the kitchen, it's more of a like they're taking pride in their work type?
Yeah. Yes, they're excited. They're taking pride in their work. They're feeling confident. They're getting exposed. They're becoming more familiar. They're touching the veggies. They're smelling them.
Yeah.
They're tasting them. So it's just getting more familiar.
So do they also have to clean up after everything's done?
Yes. Being a good cook, cleaning up after. Yes.
Well, my first mother-in-law, she taught me, she said, you need to clean as you go, because my mom never taught us that. And I mean, she taught us to cook very at a young age because there was a bunch of us. And but so I learned that tip, and I tried to tell my oldest that, you need to clean as you go. And he's like, I'm cooking. I got to watch the food. Why am I going to clean,
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I have to say, I'm not very good at cleaning as I go. My kitchen after a meal is a disaster.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So, so how do parents increase the veggie consumption? I know how I tried it. I snuck it in everything I could sneak it in,
Yeah. Well, there's lots of different ways. I love to encourage parents to capitalize on that hour before dinner, like from 4 to 5 o'clock when the kids are starving and they're like, Mom, I'm hungry and dinner's not ready yet.
Yeah.
I encourage them to offer them a plate of veggies. So it's their appetizer. And if they're hungry, they'll have some veggies before dinner even starts.
Right.
So that 1 hour time before dinner is great to introduce veggies or just to offer them. And then baking with veggies, like the spinach muffins I mentioned, or the sweet potato muffins. There's so many recipes that you can include the veggies. And you might not be able to taste them per se, but they're in there because you're making it with them.
Yeah.
So the idea that it's there.
Yeah.
You might not be able to taste it. Like you can't taste the spinach in a muffin.
Right.
You can see it. They're green. There's no disguising them. So baking and cooking with veggies, offering to them ahead of time. And then one other tip would be, oftentimes I find parents serve veggies at dinner, but serving veggies throughout the day gets them more familiar and more comfortable with them. So if you serve veggies at lunch, if you serve just like a carrot stick with the rest of their snack, or a cucumber with the rest of their snack in the afternoon, it just becomes a habit. And it's just something that we have a vegetable with our snack. So it doesn't feel weird. It's just part of that.
Well, I find it weird that, well, not weird, but that's, growing up, I mean, that's all my mom was like, you need to eat your vegetables, and then when I had my boys, I was like, I'm not going to force them to eat vegetables, that's just not right, but then I'm like, well, now I can't get them to eat vegetables. So then I start sneaking it in every chance I could get. And so I feel like this whole outlook that you are taking on getting kids to eat is kind of like a complete 360 degree from when we grew our own food, where we made all of our own food, we didn't go to the store and buy a box of dehydrated food and cooked it. We actually had to put effort into making healthy, nutritious food. And I feel like that we've somehow are coming back around to that because people are realizing that, um, back in the day, we didn't have a grocery store just to go get it. But now we do have it. However, it's not very healthy. So I feel like that, it seems like, how when something comes in fashion, it'll go out of fashion and then, 20, 30 years later, it comes back into fashion. So I feel like we're doing another 360 with that. And
Yeah.
it's really a great idea to get the kids involved, get them involved with touching, preparing their own foods um, and learning to cook. I've always felt like that was a good thing to do. However, I did not start doing that until mine were older, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think getting them in there to the earliest is probably the best thing to do for them.
Yeah, and
So,
it can be simple things, like for a 1 or 2 year old, it can just be washing lettuce or
yep.
ripping lettuce or drying lettuce or putting
Yeah.
salt in the food. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate thing. You could give them a play knife, you could give them
Mhm.
a spoon, and just give
Mhm.
them a very small task so it doesn't feel overwhelming for the parent.
Right.
Because
Right. That
if you're trying to
yeah.
make dinner and then they're making a mess, that doesn't feel very relaxing to you. So, and I also say, like, if you want to get your kids cooking and that feels like stressful to do it at dinner time when you're trying to get dinner on the table, I like to do the cooking as an activity. So instead of playing a game or reading a book, do it as an activity. Cook muffins as like a separate activity on a Saturday morning when you're not trying to get breakfast.
Oh, yeah. I
Um,
was gonna
I
ask
feel
that
more relaxed.
question. You
Yeah,
know, don't try and implement your kid cooking when it's time to go to bed. That you're just asking for a natural disaster.
yeah. Saturday or a Sunday morning is a little bit more
Yeah.
laid back, hopefully.
So, so do you meal plan for your family or how do you do that so
Yeah,
that
I go in spurts. I like meal planning. Doing it
Uh-huh.
consistently is so hard.
I know, I agree with you.
Yeah, I do have a system that works great when I do it. I have this box of index
Uh-huh.
cards, and on
Uh-huh.
the front is the meal, and on the back is all the ingredients that we need, and all the
Right.
recipes in the box are meals that the whole family enjoys that we've already tried. So then
Oh, okay.
every week, I'll just put all of the recipes on the floor. And I have 4 people in my family. So each person will pick out 1 or 2 recipes that they want for the week. And then we always do like a takeout or pizza night and then a leftover.
Yeah.
So it's really
Yeah.
just like planning for 4 or 5 meals per week.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
seems a little bit more doable than 7 meals. Um,
Yes.
getting my kids involved so they can each pick a meal that they enjoy. Uh,
Uh-huh.
just getting them involved in the process. But when I'm not doing that, um,
You're flying by the seat of your pants.
yeah, I'm just I've done it enough that I know what we have and I can just like put things together. I make sure we have a starch like a rice or sweet
Yeah.
potato or something, and I have some veggies, and then I have an animal protein, some chicken, some
Right, right.
and then I just it's not nothing fancy, but I just make sure I have all 3 of those
Yeah.
components.
Yeah, I started well, so the end of last year, I was afraid we were gonna run out of food, so I started buying, stockpiling food, like rice and beans, and I don't even like soup beans. Now, I like other beans, but I don't like soup beans, and my I was talking to my mom, and I was telling her about it. She's like, "You bought soup beans." I said, "Well, mom, when you're starving, I figured I probably ain't gonna care what it tastes like,
Yeah,
because that's how afraid I was."
Yeah.
I had so much food. My husband's like, how much do we have? How much food do we have? I was like, well, you have enough food for at least 3 months, if we couldn't get any more.
Yeah. I was
So,
thankful for our second fridge where we stored all
yeah.
like together. Yeah, we had 2 fridges full of food at one point.
So, however, things were not as bad as, I mean, it's still worrisome now that inflation's went up. I'm glad that I've got, some stuff back. But, when they were telling us that they couldn't get the barges unloaded, I was like, oh, this is the end. I better start buying food.
Yeah.
But, so So, what would your advice be, for parents that have extremely picky eaters or someone who's just decided this is the hill that they're standing on and they're not going to eat it? I did that with the soup beans when I was in 5th grade, and my mom decided she was going to, if I didn't eat it that night, I was going to eat it the next night. And
Yeah.
she set that out 3 nights in a row, and I just sat there. I was not eating it.
Yeah.
And finally she just gave up.
It's hard. It's hard feeding kids. I recommend keeping it light, keeping it
Mhm.
fun, turning it into a game, keeping the pressure
Mhm.
off of them. When we put pressure off on them, it usually backfires. There's usually crying and tears, and it ends in a meltdown, and it's never good.
Yeah.
Whenever I can turn it into something fun or into a game, I've
Uh-huh.
a lot more successful. I have this taste-o-meter that I use with my family and with
Uh-huh.
my students, and it's on a scale of 0 to 10.
Uh-huh.
Instead of saying try a bite or taste this, I say what do you rate it? And that simple shift in language turns it into
Yeah.
a game, and it's not like you have to try it. I'm like, what do you rate the broccoli? And then they like taste it or they try it. And then they tell me what they rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, or with the young
Yeah.
kids, we do the thumbs down,
Oh,
thumbs
thumbs up.
up, or thumbs up. And if they say they don't like it, I'll say, oh, you don't like it yet. And I add
Yeah.
that to the end to teach them that maybe they'll like it in the future, that growth mindset, which we were big
Yeah.
when I was teaching 1st grade. Just, even though you don't like
Right.
it now, your taste buds are always changing, and it's important to keep trying it because
Yep.
in the future you might. And I didn't like broccoli when I was little, and now I eat it every day. And just giving them of how your taste buds have changed over time.
Right.
And yeah, just keeping it light and turning it into a game and kind of smiling the best you can when you feel like crying.
I remember the first time I ate broccoli, I was at a friend's house, and I mean, my mom didn't. The only, well, she's probably going to be like, you've been on that podcast talking all bads about me, but we usually just had like green beans and corn, right? And I had broccoli at a friend's house, but her mom put melted cheese on it. And I was like, I'm in heaven. This is the best stuff I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
So how do you do your virtual classes? So like, do you um, have the parents get some foods prepared or just make sure they have something,
I send
because,
them the ingredient list ahead of time so they can be
okay.
prepared. We prepare it together. It's
Okay.
a 30-minute class via Zoom, so the recipes are pretty simple, but we'll make
Yeah.
muffins, or we'll make different dressings, or we'll learn basic knife cutting skills. We'll make a salad,
Yeah.
just healthy, nutrient dense ingredients. Everything is gluten free. Everything is free of processed sugar. The baked goods are really lightly sweetened with dates or maple syrup or
Yeah.
fruits. So it's really healthy. I'm trying to show them that food can taste good and be good for us.
Yeah.
They're really fun. The kids get into it. And
Wow, that sounds like that just gave me an idea. So I'll probably contact you after their meeting, but
yeah.
So so what kind of I mean, going shopping, I hate shopping. So what kind of tips do you have for, do you have any like time saving tips or money saving tips? Because
Yeah.
I swear people think that if you eat whole foods that you're going to spend more money. However, which, I kind of agree with that, but when you are eating healthier, you are satisfied longer.
Yes, I was
And
gonna say
I yeah,
that.
I don't think people realize that, so you don't have to eat as much and it does last you longer. So do you have any tips that you can share?
Yeah. I changed my whole way of grocery shopping when the pandemic started. So
Mhm.
Thrive, have you heard of Thrive Market? The
Yes.
an online health grocery store. And
Right.
so I do that for a lot of my packaged processed food,
Mhm.
and those just get shipped on a
I
regular
do miss I
to my
do misfit market too.
yeah.
So
Oh
I
yeah.
do both. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love Thrive Market, and then there's a local meat share, Walden Local, that I get my meats delivered on a monthly
Mhm.
basis. So I'm big into saving time and supporting local farmers when I can. And then
Yeah.
I go to Trader Joe's just to get like the frozen foods and the
Uh-huh.
dairy and the eggs and all that kind of thing. And I'll go to Whole Foods every other week because I know
Uh-huh.
it's more expensive, but they have a lot of good, healthy options there that I love.
Right.
The variety, like you can go to Whole Foods and there's 5 different kinds of sweet potatoes. So I love going and
Oh.
hearing what they have there and getting new ideas. And I'm always trying to get my kids to try different produce. So I can
Yeah.
go to Whole Foods and come home with a different produce that they've never tried before, which I really
Uh-huh.
enjoy. But for saving money, yeah, the Thrive, I like to get frozen fruits and veggies when I can. That saves money.
Right. Right. We've tried some of Thrive has a lot of the plant foods and we tried they had some kind of a frozen sweet potato thing that we tried and we loved it. And then we got a something with it was ghee in it
Yeah.
and we were like, "Oh, this is completely not in our wheelhouse." But
Yeah.
so I was like, maybe I just need to add something to it to make it more delicious. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah. Take
but
some
my head,
experimentation.
huh?
It takes some experimentation, some trial.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I
I,
agree with you. I agree with you. If you're eating whole foods and you're eating plenty of fiber and healthy fats and protein, then
yep.
you're not going to have a lot of room in your stomach to eat the chips and the crackers and
Yep.
granola bars, which aren't nearly as filling. So you'll save money on that. You'll save money on juice and
Mhm.
soda if you just stick to water.
Right.
You can save a lot of money on if you reduce
Yeah.
the processed and the juice and all that stuff.
Right, right. I do pride myself on making sure that um drinking water was the main thing that we did growing up. I mean, I did buy the other stuff, but if there wasn't anything else, they always drank water and their dad did help me with that. Um so I don't think so how can we get a hold of you if we want to try out a cooking class?
Yes. Well, my website is misascleankitchen.com. And I share recipes. I blog on there about raising healthy eaters who love their
Mhm.
veggies. And then I have my cooking classes as well on there. And then I'm on Instagram at Misa's Clean Kitchen. And I
Mhm.
share a lot of reels about tips and tricks to help parents. And I'm also on Facebook at Misa's Clean Kitchen.
Well, cool. So do you get pictures of your girls trying new things and
Yeah.
giving and rating it?
Yeah. Yes,
Because
I do.
I'm like, we're gonna need some evidence here to get some of these kids to try this out. Look, these kids like it.
Yeah. Yes, I've got lots of good testimonials. One of my favorite testimonials is from a fifth grade girl. We were making chickpea cookies,
Yeah.
and she said, I didn't think the cookie was going to taste good because it was made with all healthy ingredients, but it was dessert good. She was surprised that it
Wow.
actually tastes like dessert because it
That
really
is,
just had chickpeas in it.
I know that is a good, that's, I mean, she could trademark that one,
Right.
you know.
That's right.
So, before we get off of our conversation here, what is one last thing of advice or a tip that you could offer moms or, even dads that have kids out there and they're just wanting, maybe they know they need to make a change, but they just don't know what to do. So what can you offer?
Yeah. Start small. Choose one small goal, whether it's serving a veggie at a morning snack every day or
Mhm.
serving a healthier breakfast option in lieu of cereal. Just pick one goal and
Mhm.
do that consistently until it becomes a habit, and then work off of that onto something else. But don't, people can get overwhelmed and burnt out if they, try to do everything all at once. So choose one small thing, work on that until you feel good, until your child feels good, until you have some wins that you can celebrate. And then when
Right.
you feel good about that, then move on to another goal.
Wow, Misa, I'm so glad that we finally got to meet up. I know we were supposed to last week, but the weather had different ideas.
Thunderstorm, power outages.
So next we'll probably see you doing cookie videos over an open campfire because
Yeah.
because you lost electricity.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that um, that you have made this your mission to make healthy, healthy eaters out of our picky eaters. And I just love it. And I wish you the best of luck. And hopefully you can come back and we can talk about this again, you
Yeah.
know. So,
Thank you for having me.
all right. Thank you.
Bye.